From a given standpoint, you can call it an injustice. Because within, you look at a given thing, given incident, from a certain time frame of whatever is known to you. You don't know what was the case in the last birth, or what else you have done, in the birth. Therefore, what appears to be injustice at the moment may not necessarily be so, and may not necessarily be undesirable also. There is no way for you to prove that this is wrong, or this is undesirable, this should not happen, this must not have happened. We cannot say it must not have happened, because we don't also know what would be the situation had it not happened. How do you know? How do you know that if a given thing had not happened, that the situation would have been necessarily better than what it is? There is no way of knowing. The idea is that there is no yukti by which you can prove. There is no pramanam. You cannot say that because I don't see God, therefore God is not. You cannot say that whatever you cannot see is not there. There are millions of things you don't see. In fact, you see precious little. Most of the things in the creation you don't see. Doesn't mean they are not there. No, but I cannot infer. So many things you cannot infer. You can infer only what you can see, or based on what you can see. And therefore, just because you cannot see, just because you cannot infer, is no reason for you to say that God is not. You cannot see your own heart, as a matter of fact. Nothing inside you can see. Or whatever. There are millions of things that we don't see. That doesn't mean that they are not there. So, nobody can say, with no yukti or reasoning can we say, or by no pramanam or means of knowledge can we say that Atma is not, or that Atma is not one, non-dual, conscious, equal, complete, all-pervasive. Even to deny this also, you have no pramanam, you have no yukti, and you have no person. You say that? You know pramanam to say that Atma is not all-pervasive? Where is Atma? Where is all-pervasive? If it is all-pervasive, I should see it everywhere. Well, you are seeing it everywhere. If it is Chaitanyam, then how did Jada, the inert creation came about? Who says it has come about? Who says creation is Jada? It's all conscious alone. You have a certain definition of what is conscious and what is Jada. But whatever exists is conscious alone. It's consciousness alone that is existence. Or it is conscious existence alone that is everything. And so, by no reason, or by no perception, or by no means of knowledge can you deny even what Upanishad reveals. How can you say Atma is one? I perceive many Atmas. Who says you perceive many Atmas? You perceive many bodies. How do you say you may perceive many consciousness? Can you perceive consciousness? Yeah, but if consciousness is one, then how can it be that when one is happy, otherwise unhappy? Who says Atma is happy to begin with? If Atma is happy to begin with, there is a question of Atma being unhappy. Happiness also is in mind, unhappiness also is in mind. And therefore, there is no yukti. All you require is a little clearer yukti, that's all. To be able to not dismiss somebody, to be able to make the person see the fallacies in their thinking. How the mind becomes closed. But Upanishad, that's why it's agamyatvat namanantar virodha. By no other pramanam can you know Atma or can you deny Atma. If you cannot know Atma by other pramanam, nor can you deny it, because how can you deny? If I cannot hear by my eyes, I can't deny the sound also by my eyes. If you can know something by the ears, then you can say it is not there. But if by other pramanam, if you cannot know Atma, how can you deny it also? You cannot insist that in this water there is no salt, because I don't see it. Well, for that salt, the pramanam is your tongue. And see whether it's there or not. So if you cannot see salt by your eyes, nor can you deny the salt by your eyes. So agamyatva, so Atma is alaukika or agamya. Alaukika means not known by laukika pramanam or not apprehended by laukika pramanam. We will not even say that what is known by laukika pramanam is not Atma. However, the full dimension of Atma can in no way be grasped by any pramanam. So agamyatvad, and therefore this Atma, there is one, kutastha nitya, samah, Sarvabhutasya Atma, this is not known by perception or by any other means of knowledge. He is agamya. He is Upanishad ekgamya. And therefore, namanantara virodha, what Upanishad says is not contradicted by any other pramanam, whether it is perception or inference. Now then continuing says Sakshi Karmangam Chetanatvat Kartruvat, some inference, pramana, some reasoning here. Sakshi Karmangam. Your Sakshi means the witness self. Is also Karmangam, is also an accessory of karma, we say, part of karma. Why? Chetanatvat, because it's Chetana. How? Kartruvata. Just as Karta of the agent of action, Yajamana, the person who performs the action, is an accessory, is a subsidiary or accessory or a part of the whole ritual action, is also one of the requirements in accomplishment of an action, just as a doer. And the Karta is a conscious being. You say that Brahma also, Atma also is conscious being, and therefore, so whatever is conscious being can become a part of the karma. Just as the doer is, Atma also is conscious being. So we say that he is also karma-anga, meaning he is also anga or the aspect of karma. Tatraha, if this is what it is said, then Bhashyaka said, Vidisheshatvam va netum. You cannot even prove that Atma can become an aid or a part or helpful means in performance of karma. Atma is useless for karma. It says, Ajnata Sakshinaha Anupayogat. As long as Atma, who is the Sakshi of everyone, if you have not known the Atma, then how can you use it in karma? In karma or active kriya, what can you use? Something that is available to you, something that you know. Ajnata Sakshinaha. As long as Sakshi is unknown, well, that Sakshi cannot be useful to you because unknown thing cannot be a part of karma. Jnatasya ghatakatvat. And when the Sakshi is known, he becomes ghataka. Of what? Of very karma. When you know Sakshi, you know him as what? As the complete Purusha, as all parve, the Purna, complete being. Not only that, you know him as Asangaha, you know him as Kutastha. Asanga, Kutastha, this Sakshi, what will you do with it? It cannot be employed in karma. There is no kartrutvam, though he cannot be karta. There is he asanga, therefore he cannot be karma. And therefore he cannot be any of the accessories. So the very knowledge of a Sakshi will destroy the whole assumption or the whole basis for karma. What is required for karma is even a sense of incompleteness. Also a sense of duality, that I am different from what I want to achieve. At least sadhya sadhaka bheda, the duality between the seeker and the sought, is the first requirement for performance of any action. Because action is what? Is a link between the seeker and the sought. If seeker is the sought, when you come to know that you are the 10th man, how can the search for the 10th man continue anymore? The search for the 10th man was to search him, look for him, to find him. And when you find that you are the 10th man, how can the search remain anymore? So that karma of the nature of searching for the 10th man, ghataka, that very knowledge that I am the 10th man becomes what? Ghataka, or the destroyer of that very basis for searching for the 10th man. Na karma sheshatvam ityartha. And therefore, in that sense, Sakshi, whether unknown or known, both ways, he cannot be karma shesha. तथा च उक्त विशेषणेन विशिष्ट आत्मा वेदांत भेव अधिगत इति भावः earlier अगम्यत्वात् means तथा च उक्त विशेषेण विशिष्ट आत्मा. आत्मा is साक्षी सर्वभूतस्थः समः एकः कूटस्थ नित्यः पुरुषः. This Atma can be known only by Vedantiभिः एव अधिगतः. Either that or Vedantaiः एव, Vedant. So only by Vedantins the Atma is known, or Vedantaiः एव अधिगतः, or only by through Vedanta can this Atma be known. Both ways anyway. Vedantiभिः means those people who accept Vedanta as Pramanam. They are called Vedantins. So those who accept Vedanta as Pramana are Vedantins. Vedanta doesn't necessarily, Vedanta means a follower of Vedanta, means who accept Vedanta as Pramanam. So only by the people who accept Vedanta as a Pramanam can the Atma such as this be known, not otherwise. Sakshitvena ajnanadashayam karmangatvam uchyate kimva ajnanadashayam vikalpya. When you say that Atma who is Sakshi is karmanga, is an accessory of karma when not unknown or when it is known. Adyam nirachaste ajnada iti. Ajnada, we said ajnada sakshina anupayoga. Sakshi is unknown, cannot become useful for performance of karma. Sakshitvena ajnanadashayam karmangatva anupayoga vityarthaha. Dvitiyam dusha iti vyaghatakatvat or ghatakatvat, either way. So, this one has vyaghatakatvat. Vyaghata means it is contradictory. When Atma is known, then the knowledge of myself as what I am seeking is contradictory for me to do something. Like the knowledge of the 10th man contradicts the very search for the 10th man. You can say, search for the 10th man requires the 10th man is not achieved, and the knowledge that I am the 10th man contradicts that very basis for the 10th man. That also you can say, search for the 10th man. Kalpita sarvadrushya sakshi ahamida dvaita jnana dashayam dvaita jnana bhavena karmangatva virodhat ityartha. Sakshi, when it is known, how is he known? Kalpita sarvadrushya sakshi. I am the witness of all drushya. I am the witness of all the drushya, meaning all that is perceptible, all that is objectifiable. And what is the nature of drushya? Kalpita. So yad drushyam tat kalpitam. Because drushyam is jadam, yad drushyam tat jadam, tad anityam. Jadam or anityam is that which cannot exist on its own. Jada or inert thing always calls for some conscious being for its existence. And therefore, Jada does not enjoy satta which is independent. Therefore, it derives its satta from something else. And therefore, it is kalpana. Because it doesn't have a satta of its own. So, kalpitatvat. Kalpita drushya sarvadrushya sakshi aham iti advaita dashayam. That means I am the only sakshi, one without a second. There is none other than me. Iti advaita dashayam dvaita jnana bhavena. The dvaita jnanam, that conviction of duality, not only perception of duality, conviction of duality is required. Dvaita pratiti is not a problem. Dvaita drushti. There must be a conviction that what I am seeking is different from me. Or there must be a conviction that what I see is different from me. Not only a perception, but a conviction. That conviction goes away. Even though the perception may remain, the conviction is no more. So, dvaita jnana bhavena karmangatva virodha. Therefore, the karma requires dvaita jnanam. I mean, dvaita jnanam is eliminated. Therefore, Atma cannot become karmangam. Okay, then continuing. Ratnaprabha says, Sakshinaha sarvasheshitvat aheyanupadayatvat na karma sheshatvam iti. Another question. Sakshinaha sarvasheshitvat. Sakshi sarvaseshi. So everything is shesha. Shesha means helpful, or a part, or dependent. Atma is the only independent principle, and everything else is dependent upon Atma. Karmanga is anga of karma, that which is dependent upon karma is called karmanga, which forms a part of karma, which is subsidiary to karma. Here Atma is the principal one. Matsani sarvabhutani nachaham teshu avasthitah. That's what Lord says. Matsani sarvabhutani, all the beings are in me. Nachaham teshu avasthitah. I am not in them. Meaning they are because I am, not that I am because they are. And therefore Atma is what? Sarvaseshi. Atma is Sarvaseshi means everything is Shesha. Everything depends upon Atma. Atma is, and therefore everything is. Therefore, aheyanupadayatvacha. And also because Atma can neither be rejected nor can Atma be acquired. Na karma sheshatvam. That's another reason why. So something can become karma shesha. Something can become subsidiary or helpful to karma when it can form a part of karma, when it is dependent upon karma, when it can supplement karma, when it is subsidiary to karma. So a thing which is subsidiary or which forms a part or which is helpful, that alone, or which is dependent, that alone can become an accessory of karma. Atma is not a part of anything, not subsidiary to anything, not dependent upon anything, not useful to anything. Therefore, Atma cannot become part of karma. And what also can become part of karma? That is heyatvam and upadayatvam. Something which can be acquired or something that can be rejected alone, you can do something with it. You can do something with this napkin because you can pick it up or you can discard it. Otherwise, what can you do? What can you do with your, with yourself, which you cannot acquire nor can you discard? What can you do with your head? You cannot acquire nor can you give up. So no action can take place, at least with reference to head. Inside head something can, but not with reference to head. You cannot do anything. You cannot get it, you cannot acquire it, nor can you get rid of it. So, heyatvam or upadayatvam is required for something to become a part of karma or become an object of karma. Atma being neither of them also, na karma sheshatvam vidyaha atmatvad. Says here Bhashyakara. Atmatvadeva cha sarvesham naheyah napyupadeyah. Atmatvadeva cha, and since he is the Atma of everyone, sarvesham atmatvadeva, since Brahman is the self of all, naheyah napyupadeyah. Atma is the one which is not heya, cannot be rejected, no upadeha, cannot be acquired, and the atmatvad, since he is Atma, therefore cannot be given up, nor can be acquired. Then says Ratnaprabha, Anityatvena atmana heyatvam ashankyaha. Someone says, how do you say Atma cannot be given up? Because Atma is anitya. Anything that is anitya or impermanent can be given up because it can go away. So Atma also will go away, Atma also can be given up. Then Bhashyakara says, Sarvam hi iti. Sarvam hi vinashyata vikarajatam purushantam vinashyate purusho hi vinashahetu abhavat avinashi vikriya hetvabhavacha kutasthanitya. Sarvam hi vinashyat vikarjatam purushantam. Sarvam purushantam, up to the purushan, not including purushan. Indriyebhyah parahyart. Now indriyani paranyahu, indriyebhyah param manah, manasastu parabuddhi, buddhiratma mahan parah, mahatah param avyaktam, avyaktat purushah parah. Up to this point, avyaktam. So avyaktam is purushandam, excluding purusha. Here up to purusha, purushandam is up to purusha, but not including purusha. Sarvamhi, beginning from the sense organs, right up to avyakta, vikarajatam, is all vikara, is all modification. Vinashyat is subject to change and therefore it will perish. It is perishable. Vinashyati, and therefore it will perish. So everything excluding Purusha, all of that is perishable. Vikarajatam. However, Purushandam, Purushohi, Vinasha Hetu Abhavat, Avinashi. But then everything is Vinasha Hetu. What is it that can get destroyed? What is it that can perish? Only that for which there is somebody, something which can actually harm it or hurt it or injure it. For example, as I say, Nainam Chindandi Shastrani. Shastra can destroy something. Fire can burn something. Water also can disintegrate something. Air also can absorb or dry up something. So these are all the destructive agents which can bring about some form of destruction. Even time, even if there is no outside agent to destroy, within itself, time itself is enough. You leave a thing as it is and it will perish. Because it is a sanghata. It is a composite entity. A composite entity is that which is composed of various components. Which components are held together for some reason. And as that reason goes, then the composite entity, like a house. Swami, 50 years, that is it now. How? That's enough. That is the end of the house. That's the lifespan of house. It will start slowly crumbling. You don't need to do anything. Of course, house posing has been, of course, subject to heat and cold and rain and all kinds of things. But even if something is not subject to anything, even then it will perish in course of time. Because everything is a composite entity, and a composite entity is that which remains composed because something is holding it together. And when whatever it holds together, when that force slowly and slowly becomes weaker and weaker, that holding together doesn't remain, and that is how, in course of thousands of years, things crumble down, things disintegrate, things perish. So some factor must be there which can bring about a change or destruction in the thing. There is nothing in Atma. Inwardly there is nothing within because it is niravayava, therefore not a composite entity, and therefore there is no reason why by itself it can perish. No, there is anything other than Atma. There is no other consciousness that can bring about change in Atma. Nor can mithya bring about a change because it is mithya. Just as my shadow cannot hurt me, or my reflection cannot hurt me, similarly also mithya cannot hurt satyam. And therefore there is nothing advitiya, therefore there is no hetu. In niravayava, therefore there is no swatah vinasha. And therefore vinasha hetu abhava. Since there is no vinasha hetu, therefore Atma is avinashi. And therefore it is nitya, not anitya. Then parinamittvena heyatam nirachaste. Anityatvena atmana heyatvam ashangya vijnanavadi matanusarena. Vijnanavadis or kshanik vijnanis say Atma is kshanika, therefore anitya. That is dismissed. Parinamittvena yadi parinamavadi matam anusritya atmana parinamitvena heyatvam. People who say Atma undergoes change by itself will in course of time perish. They say no. Vikriya hetu abhavacha kutastha nitya. There is no within also. There is nothing other than Atma which can bring about destruction in Atma, and there is nothing within the nature of Atma that Atma will stink or perish or get destroyed. Atma never stinks. Body will stink. Anything will stink. Atma never stinks. Why? Nitya Shuddha. And therefore, there is nothing within the Atma that can bring about any change. There is nothing without Atma that can also bring about change. And therefore, aheya anupade aheya. Okay, then anupadeha, nor can it be acquired or accepted. Ataha eva, so Bhashyakara says there. Ataha eva nitya shuddha buddha mukta svabhavaha tasmad purushan param kinchita Sakashtha sa paragatihi Tantvaupanishadam purusham pracchami iti cha aupanishadattva visheshanam purushasya upanishatsu pradhanyena prakashyamanatve upapadyate. Atah eva, and therefore indeed, atah eva means what? Nirvikaratvad ityartha. Since Atma is nirvikara, therefore nitya. Because that which is vikari is going to be anitya. Atma is nirvikara, therefore nitya. Shuddha also, nirvikara. Any other shuddha or impure will also change. Anything that has guna also will change. Atma is nirguna, shuddha, so nitya, shuddha, buddha of the nature of awareness and knowledge, mukta ever free, asanga. So therefore Atma is nirvikaratvat, nitya shuddha, buddha mukta svabhava. That's one thing, nirvikaratvat. Therefore upadayatvam sadhyasya natu atmanah nitya siddhatvat ityartha. And so upadayatvam, you can acquire something which you have not yet acquired, which is sadhya. Natu atmanah nitya siddhatvat. Since Atma is nitya siddha, is ever been, ever there, ever accomplished, ever existent. Therefore, it does not become an object of upadanam. Parapraptyartham atma heya iti. Okay, Maybe, let us put it this way, now another way, that there is something superior to Atma, and therefore, to acquire something that is better than Atma, maybe I should give up Atma. If there is something superior to Atma, better, more exalted than Atma, then anything, rasopyasya param društva nivarta. They say that anything inferior goes away when you come across something superior. So maybe Atma is nitya shuddha buddha mukta soha, all right, but suppose there is something else which is even superior to Atma, in which case, for the sake of that, I would be willing to give up Atma, and that is how Atma being inferior to something becomes heya. If Atma is superior to something, becomes upadaya. Atma is inferior to something, becomes heya. So he says, parapraptyartham, for acquiring something para or something superior, Atma heya. We say that Atma is subject, heya means it is subject to being discarded. He says, no, tasmat purushanna param kinchit iti. Purusha means Atma, Purna, na param kinchit. There is nothing superior to Atma. There is nothing above and beyond Atma. He is a limit, sa kashta. Kashta means sarvasya avadihi. Sukshmatvasya avadihi. Antarattvasya avadihi. Karanatvasya avadihi. Mahatvasya avadihi. Because Atma is paraha. Para means what? Superior. So he is the ultimate limit in superiority. Para also means better. He is ultimate limit in goodness. Para means also subtle. Ultimate limit in subtleness. Para means also pervasive. Ultimate limit in pervasiveness. Para is superior. Is the ultimate limit in superiority. Kashta is what? Sarvasya avadhi. You can think of anything that is good. Atma is avadhi, or the ultimate limit of everything. You want the most superior thing? Atma. You want the very best thing? Atma. You want the ultimate thing? Atma. You want the subtlest thing? Atma. Most pervasive? Atma. And you apply most anywhere. It is Atma. And therefore, sa kashtha, sa paragatihi. This Atma ultimately is kashtha, sarvasya avadihi, paragatihi. That is ultimate gati, ultimate end that everyone is seeking. Everyone is seeking this. No one wants anything less. Everyone wants the very best. Everyone wants the supreme, the most exalted, the greatest. But then Atma is the limit of greatness, limit of superiority, limit of everything that you can think of, and therefore sakashta. It is not that Atma can become heya because there is something better than Atma. There is nothing better than Atma. Therefore also it cannot become heya. Evam Atmanah, there Makara is missing. Evam Atmanah Ananyasheshatvat Abadhyatvat Apurvatvat Vedanteshu Sfudabhana Vedantaika Vedyatva Muktam. So, alright, the Purananda say Parapraptyartham, Paramutkrishtam Brahma Tat Praptyartham Mumukshana Atma Heha Tyaktum Yogehiti Purvapaksha. We already saw that. Brahmatvad Atma eva Paraha, but Atma itself is Brahman, therefore na Heyahiti Parihati Ahayati. Okay. Then Ratnavraha said, Evam Atmana Ananyasheshatvad. These things have been said. Ananyasheshatvad, meaning Atma not being subsidiary to anything. Abhadyatvat, since Atma cannot be refuted or negated or disproved. Apurvatvat, because Atma is not known by any other means of knowledge. Vedanteshu sfutabhanacha, sfutabhanat, not sfutabhavat. And also in Vedanta it is very clearly revealed. Vedantas unequivocally. Without Vedantas talk in a very clear manner. Not in a wishy-washy manner that Atma may be there and maybe you might get it. It's a tattvamasi. That's all. You are that. Simple as that. But suppose there is something superior to that, but you are limitless. That's what we say. What is superior to that? But suppose somebody tomorrow will improve upon Atma. How can you improve upon limitless? Sa kashta, sa paragatihi. There's a limit in everything. Can't improve. But suppose tomorrow scientists will come up with something. And suppose they say that now they have discovered some kind of means of medicine by which now man will not die. So what? Suppose man becomes immortal. That means he keeps sustaining this body. Will the Vedanta not be wrong? What does Vedanta have to do with body? with medicine or anything, suppose you can do that, which nobody can do anyway, and nobody will want to do. Let them have one man who goes on forever, and then he will not want another man to go on forever. So anyway, I don't think he will want it that way. But in case you suppose you wind up doing it, then also, so Vedanta is very unequivocal, very clear. Ekameva dvitiyam. There is no, it doesn't, there is no vagueness there. It's very clear. Ekameva dvitiyam. Tat satyam. Sa atma. Tattvamasi. You want to then twist and turn the statements in some manner. Statements are very simple. And therefore, Sfutabhanat. Vedanteshu, Sfutabhanat. In Vedanta Upanishad, it is very clearly revealed. Therefore, Vedantaika Vedyatvam Uktam. 5 questions were asked. Or Vikalpa Panchakam. Vikalpa Panchaka Nirase Ukta Hetu Chatushtayam Anudya Uttar Grantham Avatarati Evam Atmana iti. Vikalpa Panchaka Nirase, 5 Vikalpas were given, and all these Vikalpas, for which you can say that Atma is not, is not Upanishad Ekagamya. We said that Upanishad Ekagamya Atma, that Atma is known only through the Upanishad, and Upanishad only reveal Atma alone and nothing else. This is what we said. For which, to refute that, 5 possible alternatives were given. Says, Brahmana Nastitvat. Is Brahma not there? That is why you say that Upanishads do not reveal Brahman or Atma. Or Vedanteshu Tasya Bhanat. Or is it because Vedantas do not reveal Atma, therefore you say that Atma is not known by Vedanta? Or Karyasheshatvat. Or you say that Atma becomes subsidiary to Karya, therefore you say that Vedantas are also Karya Paraha. Loka Siddhatvat. Is it because Atma is already known to people, therefore Upanishad does not have justification in revealing Atma, or Upanishad doesn't become Pramanam for Atma? Or Mananta Virodhat. Or is it because what the Upanishads reveal is contradicted by some other Pramanam? Therefore you say that Vedas are all Karma Para, or Vedas are devoted to Karma. Is it why you are saying all these 5 Vikalpas are by Hetu Chatushtayana? So why these 4 Hetus are given? So it says Vikalpa Panchaka Nirase Ukta Hetu Chatushtayam Anudya. Anudya means reiterating or restating Uttara Grantham Avatarayati iti. So 4 Hetus are there to eliminate 5 Vikalpas. Sutam Bhanadidyanena Vikalpadvaya Nirasa iti Jnayam. So 4 Hetus are given. Atmanah Ananya Sheshatvat na Atma Karya Sheshaha. Since Atma cannot become an accessory to anything else, therefore Atma is not Karya Sheshaha. 1. Abadhyatvat. Since Atma is abadhya, meaning cannot be refuted, cannot be contradicted, therefore Manantara Avirodha. Therefore Manantara Virodha is not there. Apurvatvat. Atma is unknown by any other means of knowledge, therefore is not Loka Siddha. So Loka Siddhatvam is not there. Apurvatvat. Then Vedanteshu Sfutabhanat. Since it is very clearly revealed in Vedanta, you cannot say Brahmanastitva, that Brahma is not, because Vedanta has revealed. And Vedanteshu Tasya Bhanat, you cannot say it is not the purport of Vedanta, because it is the purport of Vedanta. And therefore, on account of these 4 Hetus, those 5 alternatives are now answered or refuted. That's what Bhashyakara said. Iti cha Upanishadatva Visheshanam. That Tantvam Tantva Aupanishadam Purusham Prachami. Tatta Shrutimaha Tantu iti. Or Tantva iti. So anyway, that is Tu also was there and Tva also was there. Both they were mentioned earlier. Okay. So there Ratnava explains Tam Sakarana Sutrasya Adhishthanam Purusham Purnam He Shakalya Tva Tvam Prachami Ityartha. Yajnavalkya asked this question to Shakalya. Tam Aupanishadam Purusham Prachami. Who is Tam? That one who is Prasiddha. You can always use this Tat, for something well known. Sakarana Sutrasya Adhishthanam. Sutra means Hiranyagarbha. And Karana of Hiranyagarbha is Avyakta or Maya, Avyakrita. So I am asking you about that Purusha or that entity, which is the very Adhishtanam, very substratum of Hiranyagarbha along with its cause, namely Avyakrita. That Purusha, and who is that? Purusha, Purnaha, the complete being. He Shakalya, Tva Pruchami, Tvam Pruchami. I am asking you about that Purusha, that being, the conscious being who is complete, who is all pervasive, and that is very Adhishtanam or substratum for Hiranyagarbha along with its cause, namely Avyakta. So, iti cha aupanishadatva visheshanam. Why did Yajnavalkya use the expression aupanishadam purusham? So, aupanishadam means Upanishad ekgamyam. So, when says Yajnavalkya uses this expression aupanishadam purusham, that means he implies that this Purusha, the Atma, can be known only through Upanishad and not through any other pramanam. Iti aupanishadatva visheshanam purushasya. That the Shruti employs the expression Upanishad, Upanishad ekagamya, meaning that Visheshanam, that particular expression, Purushasya Upanishadsu Pradhanyena Prakashyamanatve Upapadyate. When the use of the expression Upanishad, when would it be justified? Upapadyate, when would it be reasonable, justified or tenable? Only when Upanishadsu Pradhanyena Prakashyamanatve Sati. Only when it is pradhanyena, only when it is primarily revealed by the Upanishad. If Upanishads are devoted to revealing Atma primarily, Upanishads also talk about some other things, some upasanas, etc. But what is the primary purpose of the Tatparya of the Upanishad? To reveal Atma. So, the use of the expression Upanishad itself makes it very clear that Atma is primarily what is revealed by the Upanishad. Otherwise, that expression Upanishadam Purusham would not have been employed by the Shruti. Bhashye Prabhakaramad Nirasam Upasamharati Atahidi Sutrasya Hiranyagarbhasya Bhashye Prabhakaramad Nirasam Upasamharati. Now is the Upasamhara to the Prabhakaramad Nirasa. अतः भूत वस्तु इति. So says Bhashyakara, अतः भूत वस्तु परः वेद भागो भागः नास्ति इति वचनम् साहसमात्रम्. अतः, therefore, so अतः means what? Therefore, उक्तलिंगैः श्रुत्या च वेदांतानाम आत्मस्तु परत्व निश्चयात्. उक्तलिंगैहि आत्मनः अनन्यशेषत्वात् अबाध्यत्वात् अपूर्वत्वात् वेदांतेषु स्फुटभानात्. By these lingas, by these evidences or hetus, उक्तलिंगैहि श्रुत्या च वेदांतानाम औपनिषदम पुरुषम. So by Shruti also says that Purusha is Upanishad ekagamya. श्रुत्या च वेदांतानाम Atmastuparatva Nishayat. It is very clear that Vedantas are devoted to revealing the Atmavastu. When that is so, from all these evidences and reasonings, it is very clear that Vedantas are devoted merely to reveal the self. Bhutavastu paro Veda bhago nasti. And then also to insist that Veda bhaga, that section of Vedanta, namely Upanishad, Bhutavastu paraha. Bhuta means Siddha Vastu. Bhuta means that which is already there, that which is already come into being. So Bhuta Vastu means Siddha Vastu, an already existing entity. Brahma is already existing, or Atma is already existing. And that Upanishads which is Veda Bhaga, are devoted to revealing Atma, which is already an existing entity. And for you to insist that Upanishads cannot do that is sahas matram, is really sahasam, bravado, or it is what do you call it, simple, it is only insolence that you can only make you say that Upanishads do not reveal Atma. Okay. Then Purvoktam Anuvadati Vyakhyane. Purvoktam Simhavalokanam Nyayena Vrittikaramadoktam Anyatha Upapadaitum Anuvadati Ityartha. Okay. Simhavalokanam Nyayena. Again by the Nyaya of Simhavalokanam. How Simha always does Avalokanam. Even as lion walks, now and then it looks back just to cover the whole territory where everything is okay. Is there someone around? Just there is Simhavalokanam. So also Vihangavalokanam. Birds also have this. They also Avalokanam. They also cover the whole area. Avalokanam means when you cover the whole area just by one sight, So that's what lion does. Covers everything. So that's called Simhavalokanam. Similarly also, we also see what has been covered in the past. So Bhashyakara also does that. Simhavalokanam Nyayana. To look back at what has happened briefly. Vrittikara Matoktam Anyatha Upavadaitum. That Vrittikara had said something in support of his position. That Upanishads present Brahman alright, but Upanishads present Brahman as an object of Upasana and not merely for the sake of Brahman. This is what Vrittikara said. And in support of that, Vrittikara quoted certain sections from Purvamimamsa. They are now taken up. Anyatha Upapadaitum. See, now we are even improving their own understanding of their own Shastra also. Sometimes we have to tell what Mimamsa Shastra means also, because that also they don't understand. As we said, once the whole basis is wrong, you will not understand your own Shastra also properly. So Vedantins alone can properly explain every Shastra, And so, what is the meaning of the sentence that you had quoted? He quoted a certain statement from Bhashya and Jaimini and Sūtra to show that Sutrakara and Bhashyakara, Jaimini and Shabara, Swami, all of them say that the Vedas are devoted to karma. Is it what they mean? Is it really what they mean? Or should those statements be understood in a different light? So now we will take those very statements which apparently seem to say that the Vedas are devoted to karma, and we will show them how those statements cannot literally mean what they say, they should be properly understood. So, Anyatha Upapadaitum. If they mean literally what they say, then they will contradict themselves. And therefore, in order that Jaimini does not contradict himself, or Shabaraswami does not contradict himself, it is necessary that their own statement must be explained in such a manner that there is no contradiction, and therefore the literal meaning cannot be taken. A meaning is to be understood in a certain context. This is very important, So, Anyatha Upapadaitum Anuvadati. Then Bhashyakara wants to show Anyatha Upattihi. It cannot mean what you understood, but because if what is said elsewhere also has to be right, then this cannot be what you mean. The meaning of this has to be different in keeping with what has been said elsewhere. This is what Bhashyakara will show. Bhashyamiti. So, Purvoktam Anuvadati. For that, what has been said earlier is being restated here. Yadapi iti. Says Bhashya. Yadapi Shastra Tatparya Vidam Anukramanam Drashtohi Tasyartha Karmavabodhanam Ityevamadi Tata Dharma Jignasa Vishayatvar Vidipratished Shastra Bhiprayam Drashtavyam. A very simple one statement. Drashtavyam. How this particular statement must be understood. Bhashyakara says, Yadapi Shastra Tatparya Vidam Anukramanam. Okay? We accept that they are Shastra Tatparya Vid. We don't contradict. We don't say. Jaimini also is Shastra Tatparya Vid. Meaning, the one who knows the Tatparya or the purport of Shastra. The Shabaraswami. See, even Bhashyakara, Shankaracharya accepts the authority also of the Bhashyakara of Jaimini, Shabaraswami. That shows the reverence here. It is not that just because we have reverence for Vedanta that we have no reverence for other things. We have reverence for all of them. And reverence for what they say also, in light of, in the context in which they say. And therefore, even what the Nayayikas say, or what all of them say, it's all right in the context in which they say, or the standpoint in which they say, or from where they say. As somebody says, somebody asks, Anandamaya, ये तो ये क्या, somebody says this, कोई तो ये कहता है, कोई ये कहता है, कोई ये कहता है, सब अलग अलग कहते हैं आत्मा के विषय में. वो जहां जहां वो सब है वहां से ठीक ही है. She says, so where they are, from that point of view, it's all right. Similarly, whatever these people say is all right. It is not that we are dismissing what they say. We just want to analyze what they say, and we can see the limitation or the defect in their saying. But there is no dismissal of anything. From a given standpoint, what they say is fine. Tairayam na viruddhyate. And therefore, Gaudapadacharya says, he knows. This fellow says elephant is a column, knows where that conclusion comes from. And when someone says elephant is like a wall, he understands. Not only he knows that this is wrong, but he understands what it means. It is not only enough to say that what the Nayayika says is not right, but we should know why they say also. That also we understand. When you have the vision of the whole, you can understand always the parts. And therefore, Vedantin understands where this vision comes from. What has been given reality? Where somebody is stuck? What is hanging on to? And therefore, what brings about this opinion? That's all. Since he understands, therefore we can tell him that what you say also should be understood in this light. That's why drashtavyam yadapi shastra tatparya vedam anukramanam. What is anukramanam? Vedartha sangrahaka vakya jatam. So anukramanam, he says Vedartha sangrahaka vakya jatam. This whole group of statements, Vedartha sangrahaka, which briefly or in brief say what the whole tatparya of the Veda is. Vedartha means what is the meaning of the Veda. The meaning of the Veda is expressed in a capsule form in a few sentences, and those one of them is quoted here. Yadapi shastra tatparya vedam anukramanam drashtohi tasya means vedasya artha. Tasya artha drashtohi vedasya artha. Artha means tatparyam. The tatparya of the purport of Veda is seen to be karma avabodhanam. Karma avabodhanam. Meaning making us know karma. So the purport of the Shastra is karma avabodhanam, giving us the knowledge of karma. Ityevama, this and other statements of the Shastra Tatparya Vid. Even that also, drashtavyam, how is it to be understood? Tad dharma jignasa vishayatvat. In what context was this statement made? Athato dharma jignasa. So this statement was made in fact in explanation of that sūtra. Saraswatiji said this. In Athato dharma jignasa, now the jignasa or the vichara pertaining to dharma, when it was said, then it says dharma jignasa vishayatvat. Since Saraswatiji is explaining dharma jignasa or an inquiry or deliberation upon dharma, therefore, since dharma involves always either vidhi or pravritti or nivritti, so dharma can be doing something or not doing something also can be dharma. So not eating can also be dharma at a given point in time, or doing something positive also can be dharma. So dharma is of the nature of vidhi and nisheda. So since in the context of dharma, which is of the nature of vidhi and nisheda, that this statement is made, we say that this statement applies to Veda, there means Vidhi Pratisheda Shastra Abhiprayam. By the word Veda, here the Bhashyakara means that section of the Veda which is devoted to Vidhi and Pratisheda. That scripture or Shastra, which is Vidhi Pratisheda. That's true. That the Shastra or the scripture which is of the nature of Vidhi and Pratisheda, definitely it is Karma Avodhanam. The purpose of the Shastra is to teach us karma, no doubt about that. And that is how you have to see. Now, Ratna Prabhakara explains this. Vedasya nairarthakye shankire tasya arthavatta param idam bhashyam. You have to see in what made him say this, What? Because he has his own Purvapakshis. The thing is, when Mimamsakas are saying it, Mimamsakas have to contend with their own people, And somebody says Veda is nirarthaka, Veda is meaningless, useless. Vedasya nairarthakye shankite. They say that Vedas are only meant for chanting, that's all. You recite the Vedas, and reciting the Vedas you'll get heaven. There are people who say that. Then Jaimini had to say that no, merely chanting of the recital of Veda is not enough, but it is necessary to understand the meaning of what you recite also. That is the whole purpose of this Mimamsa, Shastra. The whole first sutra is that Veda is what? Is meaningful. That's why next sutra was what? So, what is it? Chodana Lakshana Artha Dharma. That artha or the prayojanavat artha. Artha means arthavan. So that which is useful is called dharma, and that is Veda. Veda is that which is useful. So Jaimini has to prove to other people that Veda is meaningful, and that studying the Veda or deliberation upon the Veda or knowing the meaning of the Vedic mantras is also useful. Suppose you know the meaning, so what? Are you going to get anything more? If by recital also itself you can get Swarga, what's the need to worry about what the words mean or what the mantras mean? He says, no, it is meaning of the mantra that is necessary, is important even to get Swarga. That a karma or a ritual will not yield its total result if you do it without knowing what you are doing. When you do it with the knowledge of what you are doing, then alone that ritual really becomes effective or efficacious. Otherwise also, since you do something, result will come. But when you do it with an understanding, then alone the proper result will come. Therefore, in order that a ritual can yield its result, such as Swarga or whatever it promises, it is necessary that you should know what you are doing. So this must be also a great reform in those days. There must be a time when people must be content with merely recital of Vedas. Who knows? And there Jaimini comes along and says, no, you must know Vedas. But how do we know? Vedas are impossible. Vedas are using words which are not, they are all, Veda is alaukika. Veda is not laukika. Meaning, Veda is out of this world. And therefore, the meaning of the Vedas can never be known by us. The meaning of the words used by Vedas also should be understood not in a common sense. He says, no, Jaimini says, the words Vedas also employ words which are our commonly known words. And therefore, those words of the Veda convey the meaning in the same manner that ordinary words in ordinary parlance convey. Therefore, don't think that the Vedas are talking something which is beyond our understanding. It is within your understanding. Don't think that the Vedas employ words which can never be understood. They can be understood. You have to know Vyakaran. Grammar you have to know. Nighantu. Well, you have to know those things. So Shabdakosha you have to know. Vyatpatti you have to know. And if you do not know, then you may not understand. But if you know, even the words of Vedas, each one of them can be understood. And that's how all the Shabdakosha, etc. The interpretation of the words, many words of Vedas which are very difficult, which cannot be traced, and all of them are explained. And what are the meanings? All of that is given. So that is how people must have been initiated into studying the meaning also. Anyway, so this is, now you have to see what is the situation in which Jaimini says that. You cannot take it out of context and bang things, and then dismiss them. Or when Shankaracharya makes a given statement, in what context it is made, to what people it is made, why is it made, all of that becomes also necessary. Otherwise, if you take a given statement out of context, it will be distorted. And here also, in what context was it said? Says here now, Vedasya nairarthakya shankite. There are those heroes, great people, who say that Veda is meaningless or useless. When this Shanka comes, tasya arthavatta param idam bhashyam. This bhashya is to prove Vedasya arthavatta, that Veda is meaningful or useful. Artha means prayojanam. It is prayojanavat. It has a purpose to serve. Vedas have a purpose to serve more than mere recital. And idam bhashyam, this bhashya, this statement, drashto hi tasya artha karma avabodhanam, was to establish the meaningfulness or usefulness or validity of the Vedas. Usefulness of the Vedas. Drashtohi iti. After bhashyam, there should be actually a dash there instead of a full stop. That would make it clear to you. This bhashyam drashtohi iti. Okay. Tatra phalavat arthavabodhanam iti vaktavye dharma vichara prakramat karmavabodhanam iti uttam. So then why suppose you want to say that Veda is meaningful, why did Swami say karmavabodhanam tasya arthaha? That Vedas are devoted to karma, or the primary meaning of the Veda is in terms of teaching karma. Why is it said? Tasya tatra phalavat arthavabodhanam iti vaktavye. What should have been properly said is phalavat arthavabodhanam. Because this was an argument, or this was a statement made in reply to what? Vedasya nairarthakya shankitam. This is said in response to someone who says Vedas are nirarthaka or Vedas are meaningless. So you have to say that Vedas are meaningful. That's all you should have said. What is meant by meaningful? Phalavat arthavabodhanam. That Vedas are artha, they give us what? Shastram is arthavabodhanam. Means bodhakam. Shastra is bodhakam. Shastra teaches us or reveals artha. Artha means that prayojanam. So prayojana bodhakam. Shastra is phalavat arthavabodhanam. Shastra teaches artha. Shastra teaches us those things which are phalavat. Phalavat means meaningful or useful. So phalavat saprayojanam. Phalavat saprayojana. That's what it is. Phalavat saprayojana. Yah artha arthavastu tad avabodhanam. So that which is that artha or that vastu. Artha means vastu. That vastu which is saprayojana. So that which has a purpose to serve. Phalavat. And also that is meaningful or that which results into something desirable. So Vedas reveal those vastus or that vastu which are meaningful and which are useful. Not only they are meaningful, but saprayojanam, they are useful in our life. So Vedas are not meaningless. Vedas have a meaning. Not only they have meaning, but they are useful. Meaning they are useful in our life. A sentence means something, and a sentence is useful also. Just because a given thing has a meaning need not make it useful. But Vedas have usefulness also, because they teach us something that is a means for attainment of desirable ends in our life, and therefore that's what should have been said there in reply to the people who are questioning the usefulness or the meaningfulness of Vedas. So tatra means bhashye phalavat arthavabodhanam iti vaktavye. Bhashyam is Shavar Bhashyam. Okay. Dharma vichara prakramat karma avabodhanam iti uktam. So there drashtohi tasyartha phalavat arthavabodhanam. That's what should have been said. Instead of said, since the prakrama, or since the presentation or the beginning was made with athato dharma jignasa, and since this bhashya is an explanation of that sutra dharma jignasa, so says dharma vichara, jignasa means vichara, dharma vichara prakramat. Since then the beginning is made with a deliberation upon dharma. Therefore he said karma avabodhanam. Otherwise it should have said phalavat arthavabodhanam. In as much as karma or dharma is phalavat, then next sutra itself defines what is dharma. What is it? Chodana lakshana artha dharma. Artha is saprayojaka, saprayojana. That artha, that which is saprayojana, meaning which is purposeful, and that is called dharma. And so that the Vedas teach that which is purposeful. They need not have restricted it to dharma or karma. It would have been quite alright at that time had it simply been said that Vedas teach that which is useful and meaningful. Instead of that, it is said that Vedas teach us karma. Because karma is known to be useful and meaningful, therefore it is said Vedas are teaching us karma. Although it should not have restricted to karma, it should have been said Vedas teach us that which is meaningful and useful. That's what should have been said. But since the context is dharma jignasa or dharma vichara, therefore it is quite appropriate for the Bhashyakara to say that the Vedas are teaching us karma or dharma which are useful and meaningful. Na etavata Vedantanam Brahma Paratva Nirasah. Just because Bhashyakara, in the context of dharma, use the word karma there, that doesn't mean that by etna etavata, merely by that, you cannot say Brahma Paratva Nirasah, that Bhashyakara even there means that. Swami means that Brahma is not the purport of Vedanta or Vedas. That karma is the purport of Vedas is not the refutal of Brahma being the purport of Vedas. Dashtohi tasyartah karma bodhanam. All right. That karma bodhanam is artha. That does not mean Brahma bodhanam is not artha. Because karma here stands for what? Upalakshanam. Karma stands for what? Phalavat arthavat. So anything that is meaningful and purposeful is what is meant by karma there. And Brahma is meaningful and purposeful in our life. Therefore, that word karma should also include Brahma. Because karma there means phalavat arthavat. Phalavat arthavabodhanam. Karma means phalavat artha. Phalavat artha means phalavat prayojanam. That is what is meant there. And Brahma falls in that category. Therefore, just because the word karma has been used does not mean that Vedanta is not devoted to or Vedanta does not reveal Brahman. How do you say that? How do you say that this is also what you can interpret? Ataha anupalabdhe arthe tat pramanamiti sūtrakara. Sūtrakara is Bhagavan Jaimini. So Bhagavan Jaimini sūtrakara dharmasya phalavat ajñātatvenaiva vedarthatam darshayati. How do you justify that Vedas are devoted to dharma? Or that Vedas reveal dharma? How do you justify? Jaimini, a Sutrakara himself says in the subsequent sutra, Atahaiva, therefore, the sutra is Anupalabdhe, that is only part of the sutra, it is a whole long sutra. But part of the sutra is Anupalabdhe Arthe Tat Pramanam. Tat is Veda or Shastram. So Tat means Shastra is Pramanam. Shastra is a valid means of knowledge for Anupalabdhe Arthe. Upalabdhe means perception of knowledge. Anupalabdhe means that which cannot be known by means of knowledge available to us. Anupalabdhe Arthe means, so Vedas are Pramanam or valid means of knowledge for revealing all those things which are beyond the range of our perception or beyond the range of our knowledge. Anupalabdhe Arthe Tat Pramanam. That's what Jaimini says subsequently. Therefore, according to Jaimini also, where is the pramanyam or validity of Veda? Anupalabdhe Arthe. Atindriya Arthe. That which is Atindriya. And therefore that which cannot be known or perceived by human being, for that alone Veda is Pramanam. And Brahma also falls in that category. If Dharma falls in the category of Anupalabdha Artha or that which cannot be comprehended by human being, Brahma also falls in that category. Therefore, by his own statement, Brahma also should be included as the Tatparya or the subject matter. And Brahma also should come within the scope of Vedas. Atahaiva Anupalabdhe Arthe Tat Pramanamiti Sutrakaraha Dharmasya Phalavat Ajñātatvenaiva. What is Pramanam? Ajñāta Jñāpakam. So Pramanam is that which makes us know that which apurvatvam. That which cannot be known by other means of knowledge is made known to us is called Pramanam Ajñāta Jñāpakam. Therefore, when it is said that Vedas are Pramanam with reference to karma, what is meant by karma? Ajñātam. And not only Ajñātam, Phalavat. Because Shastra must necessarily teach us that which is useful to us. And if Shastra is Pramanam, then it must necessarily teach us that which cannot be known by some other means of knowledge. So these two purposes Shastra must serve. It must teach us something which is useful to us in our life. And also it would teach us something which we can otherwise not know from other means of knowledge. Therefore, Phalavat Ajñātatvenaiva Vedarthatam Darshayati Dharmasya. Dharmasya Vedarthatam. The Dharma is Vedartha. That Dharma is that which is revealed by Veda, or Dharma is Prayojanam of the Veda, or purport of the Veda. Why? Because Dharma satisfies this criteria that Dharma is Ajñātaha. That it cannot be known by perception or means of knowledge available to us, and it is Phalavat, that it is useful in our life. So whatever is Phalavat and whatever is Ajñātam can also become therefore the Vedartha, and Brahma falls in that category. that Brahma also is Ajnatam, meaning cannot be known by other Pramanam, and it is Phalavad also because the knowledge eliminates all the anarthas. And therefore, even by the statements of Jaimini himself, it becomes very clear that Brahma, Jaimini does not dismiss Brahma. All his statements cannot be interpreted as dismissing Brahma as as not the Vedartha, as says Tacha Avishishtam. Tacha means what? Phalavat Ajñātatvena Vedarthatvam. In Brahma, Dharma is what? Phalavat Ajñātatvena Vedartha. Dharma is Phalavat, Prayojanavat, and also Ajñāta. And Brahma also is what? Saprayojanam and Ajñātam. So Tacha Avishishtam Brahmanaha. So that aspect is common to Brahman also as it is in Dharma. Iti na vruddha vakyaihi virodha. And therefore, even the vakyas that you quoted also are quite alright with reference to Brahman. So you cannot say that with those vakyas, you cannot prove that Brahma is not the purport of Vedas. Iti na vruddha vakyaihi virodha ityaha. Tad dharma iti. So tad dharma jignasa vishatvat vidit pratisheda shastra abhiprayam drashtavyam. Dharma also includes Nisheda Shastrasyapi Nivrutti Karyapartvam asti. Nisheda also is dharma. Just as Vidhi engages you in activity, Nisheda disengages you in activity, but disengagement also is an activity. And therefore Karma Paratvam includes both Pravrutti and Nivrutti. And Pravrutti is taught by Vidhi, Nivrutti is taught by Nisheda. So Karma Avabodhanam includes Vidhi and Nisheda Avabodhanam. And so Abhiprayam Drashtavyam. तत्सूत्र भाष्य वाक्य जातम कर्म कांड से कार्यपरत्व अभिप्राय इत्यर्थ है. तत् मीन्स व्हाट? तत् धर्म जिज्ञासा विषयत्वाद. व्हाट इज तत्? सूत्र भाष्य वाक्य जातम. सूत्र वाक्य एंड भाष्य वाक्य. सूत्रास आर देयर. They say, what is it? Anupalabde arthe tat pramanam. And bhashya is that drashtohitasya. What is it? Artha hai karma avabodhanam. So sutra bhashya vakya jadam karma kandasya karyaparatva abhiprayam. That which says it is karma kanda which is karyaparam and not the whole Veda. So where the word Veda is used there, we should understand that as karma kanda. Where in Jaimini, Sutra or elsewhere, word Veda is used, we should understand as karma kanda and not the entire Veda. That we should not. So if the subsequent fellows, on account of their insistence of interpreting Jaimini in some ways, say that Jaimini means that Vedantas are useless, we don't accept that. And so, karma kandasya karyaparatva abhiprayam ityartha. So, brahmana phalavatvam avidyanavrtti rupa phalavatvam tad nivritti rupa swarupatvam va iti vijnayam. How is Brahma phalavat? Meaning Brahma is meaningful or useful? Avidyanavrtti rupa phalavatvam. That Brahma brings about the knowledge of Brahma, brings about the phala of the nature of avidyanavrtti or therefore anartha nivritti, and tad nivritti swarupam, or avidyanavrtti itself is Brahma. Either Brahma jnanam eliminates avidya, you can say, or since nivritti also has its basis only in the adhishtanam, so Brahma also becomes a very swarupam for avidya nivritti, iti vijnayam. Anukrama shabdartham jnapayadum tat shabdasya pratikamādāya arthamaha tat sutra bhashya vakya jatam iti. So yani sutra vakyani bhashya vakyani cha tesham samuha ityartha. So all the sutra vakyas and bhashya vakya, all of them only prove the karma kandasya karyaparatvam, natu the kritsna vedasya karyaparatvam. That's what we have to understand. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ अथ सिंहावलोकन न्यायेन वृत्तिकारमतोक्तम अन्यथा उपपादयितुम अनुवदते. That Vrittikar had said earlier that this is what Shastra Tatparya Vidam Anukramanam. Anukramanam was explained as Sutra Bhashya Vakya Jatam. Sutrakara, Purva Mimamsa Sutrakara Jaimini, and the Bhashyakara Saraswatiji. This is what they have said. Shastra Tatparya Vidam Anukramanam. These are their statements. They are accepted as Shastra Tatparya Vidam. Those who know the Tatparya, the purport of the Shastra. And this is what they have said. And their words were quoted by the Vrittikara, by the Purva Pakshi earlier, in support of his position that the Vedas have the Tatparya in the Kriya, and therefore, even though the Vedas do reveal Brahma, the Upanishads have the Tatparya in Brahma, but still, that Brahman is presented by Upanishads not as an independent subject, but is presented as something that is helpful or an accessory into a Kriya, namely Upasana, meaning Brahma is presented by the Upanishads as Upasya Vishaya and not presented as such. This is the opinion of Vrittikara, and in support of that opinion, he quoted statements from Bhashyakara Saraswatiji as well as Jaimini Sutra to show that they who know the purport of the scriptures say that the scriptures, meaning the Vedas, are devoted to revealing karma. So those words, those statements which he had quoted in support of his position are again brought up here. And Bhashyakara wants to show that even those statements do not mean what you think they mean. Even those statements which apparently seem to indicate that the entire Veda is devoted to revealing karma alone, but still when you really scrutinize those statements, you will find that even those statements are also meant for, where it is said Veda, what should be understood is karma kanda. Since the subject matter of discussion is tad dharma jignasa vishayatvad, tad anukramanam, that the whole, this tat goes with anukramanam. That sutra, bhashya, vakya jatam, that whole, the body of words consisting of the sutra and the bhashya and the purva mimamsa, all of that is dharma jignasa vishayatvat. Since all those statements are with reference to dharma jignasa or an inquiry into dharma, vidhi pratishedha shastra viprayam drashtavyam, that what is meant by our shastra there is vidhi pratishedha shastram and not the entire Veda. Since what is in the mind of the Sutrakara and the Bhashyakara is to discuss dharma, therefore that portion of the Shastra which reveals dharma is what is in their mind. Drashtoi tasya arthaha karma avabodhanam. Even when it is said tasya shastrasya arthaha karma avabodhanam, it is drashtaha. That the purport of the Shastra is karma avabodhanam is to teach or making us know karma. What is meant by Shastra there is this Vidhi Pratisheda Shastram, Shastra is of the nature of Vidhi and Pratisheda. And Dharma is of both. Dharma is of the nature of Vidhi as well as Pratisheda, because Vidhi involves an activity into doing something, and Pratisheda also involves activity of the nature of cessation from something, and therefore those statements should be understood in that way. Even the Jaimini Sutra Atayeva Anupalabdher Setat Pramanam, that Jaimini Sutra is again 115. There is a long sutra of which this portion is quoted here. Tat meaning Shastram Pramanam Anupalabdhe Arthe, where Upalabdhi or perception or knowledge by other means of knowledge is not possible. then only anupalabdhe arthe pramanam. Anupalabdhi is pratyakshadi, pramana upalabdhe arthe pramanam. Shastra becomes a pramanam with reference to those things which are not available for perception or knowledge by other means of knowledge. If this is so, Sutrakara dharmasya phalavat ajñātatveneva vedarthatam darshayati. There Jaimini vedarthatam darshayati, dharmasya vedarthatam darshayati. There Jaimini shows that dharma is vedartha, meaning dharma is the tatparya or the purport of the Veda, or Vedas have their purport in dharma, that Vedas reveal dharma. Dharma is the subject matter of Vedas. Why is it so? Phalavat ajñātatvat. Since dharma is ajñātah, which cannot be known by any means of knowledge available at our disposal. Not only that, but phalavat, also it is saprayojana, it is purposeful. So knowledge of dharma is that which cannot be gained by means of knowledge available at our disposal right now. At the same time, it is that which is phalavat, meaning it is purposeful. And therefore, these are the criteria. This is the criterion for anything to be the subject matter of Shastra. Phalavat ajñātatvam. Ajñātatvam means being unknown, meaning being unknown to standard means of knowledge, and phalavat being purposeful. So dharma is phalavat ajñātah, and therefore it is Vedartha. So not because dharma is the nature of kriya, therefore it is Vedartha, but because dharma is phalavat ajñātah, it is purposeful as well as it cannot be known by other means of knowledge, therefore it is Vedartha. This is how we see actually their own intentions that way. When we scrutinize the sutras and the bhashya vakyas, then this is what we find. Although you seem to find, taking the meaning, just the word meaning of the statement, you seem to find that the Shastras have the Tatparyam, the Karma. We find that what the Sutra and the Bhashyakaras mean there is that Shastras have their Tatparyam in revealing that which cannot be revealed by other means of knowledge and which is purposeful. Tacca avishishtam brahmanaha. Tacca phalavat ajñātatvam. Brahma also is the same. Brahma also is ajñātam, meaning that which cannot be known by available means of knowledge, and phalavat, and knowledge of Brahman also is, phalavat is purposeful, inasmuch as it eliminates all the anartha in our life, and therefore Brahma also falls in the category of phalavat ajñāta vishaya. And therefore we say that Brahma also can very well be the purport of the Vedas. इतना वृद्धवाक्य ही विरोध है क्या है तद्धर्म इति. So तद्धर्म जिज्ञासा that we read last time. So going to page 176, Satnaprabha says, निषेध शास्त्रस्यापि निवृत्ति कार्यपरत्वम अस्ति. विधि शास्त्र is प्रवृत्ति कार्यपरम and निषेध शास्त्र is निवृत्ति कार्यपरम. Tat means सूत्र भाष्य वाक्य जातम कर्मकांडस्य कार्यपरत्व अभिप्रायम इत्यर्थः. That सूत्र भाष्य वाक्य जातम, that is an anukramanam. The whole group of body of the words, or the body of literature, scripture, of the nature of Mimamsa, Sutra and the Bhashya, is karmakandasya karyaparatva abhiprayam. It is abhipraya that karmakanda is karyaparam and not the entire Shastra. That is the idea there. Now go down to Purnanandya. Now the Vedantins approach the whole thing even in a more interesting manner. Says in the third line, Purnanandya on the page 176, Karmakandasya karyavratvam angikritam. Angikritya should be better, angikritam. Na jnanakandasya iti. That karmakanda has karyavratvam. We accepted so far that at least karmakanda is devoted to karma, or karya means kriya or activity. Na jnanakandasya, so far we say that jnanakanda of the Upanishad is not devoted to karma, devoted to Brahman, which is not of the nature of karma or which cannot become an accessory to karma. So far we accepted that at least the statements in karmakanda have their purport in kriya. Samprati, now Karmakandasyavi na karyaparatvam. Now we proceed to say that, show that even Karmakanda is not Karyapara. Even Karmakanda also does not, the statements of Karmakanda, meaning the statements of Karmakanda also do not have their purport in Kriya, in impelling you into action. The meaning of those words is not Kriya, that's all. The words may create in you a Kriya. That's a different thing. But that also only when you satisfy certain conditions. Even the words of Karmakanda will create in you, says Suram na pibe. One should not take alcohol. That will create nivrutti into whom? In whom? For the one who has a tendency to drink alcohol. Otherwise it will not. So Vedantins will say that Suram na pibe, the statement that one should not take alcohol, only reveals the nature of alcohol, that it is anishta sadhanam. That alcohol is anishta sadhanam, meaning alcohol is revealed by the statement as that which will bring about anishta, which will bring about something, undesirable effect. Or jyotishtomena, somena yajeta, whatever. That one should perform the somayaga for such and such result. That also does not say that you have to perform this yaga. But then that will create a desire to perform the yaga only in the mind of the person who has that desire, not in everyone. But for everyone, one thing is certain, that jyotishtoma is ishtasadhanam, is something that is desirable, or is a means for attainment of desirable. So Vedantins will say that even these statements of Vidhi and Nisheda, they do not really enjoin any action, or they do not have meaning in their action. Their meaning in action, but their meaning is merely to reveal the nature of things. Just as Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma reveals the nature of thing, namely Brahman, and so also Swarga Jyotishtomena Yajeta, Somena Yajeta, all of these statements merely reveal the nature of Somayaga, that it is Ishta Sadhanam, or a means for attainment of that which is desirable, or it reveals Jyotishtoma as something which is a means for attainment of the desirable. That's all. So this Jyotishtoma is a certain nature, that nature which is an existing thing. Just as Brahman is Satyam Jnanamanandam, Brahma is Bhuvavastu, or something that is already there, and these words merely reveal the nature of Brahman, and so these statements of Vidhi and Nisheda merely reveal the nature of things, that those statements also do not have their purport in Kriya. It's a revolution. And therefore, Veda is not devoted to Kriya. This is what what the Siddhanti is going to say. Samprati karmakandasyavi na karyaparatvam. When karmakanda also is not devoted to karya or action. Kintu siddhaparatvam, even karmakanda also is devoted to revealing something which is there. That is a desirability in Jyotishtoma. That desirability in Jyotishtoma which is already there is alone revealed because it is not evident to us. Or the undesirability in alcohol drinking. Not in alcohol, but in drinking, alcohol is okay as it is. But in surapanam, in alcohol drinking, there is an undesirability which is revealed, which may not be evident to a person who thinks that it is something desired, it gives him some stimulation, etc. And seems to be anartha nivrutti sadhanam. So people take alcohol thinking that it releases me from all worries and anxieties and stuff like that. Therefore he is being told that no, in fact it is something that brings you all kinds of calamities. Thus, that nature of surapanam is revealed by the statements, and not that it creates or it has intention to convey any activity, etc. This is what now Ratna Bhakara says. Bhashyakara has not directly addressed this particular topic, but you can read this intention of Bhashyakara in some statements, but not very clearly stated that Vastu Tastu Lingarthe Karmakandasya Tatparyam. Okay. Karmakanda also has its Tatparyam, purport in what? Ling. Ling, lot and tapya. So either Ling means some kind of a vidhi or agnya. something to enjoin or something to instruct or something to request, or Lord, something that is imperative must be done, or tavya, oh this is worth doing, or this should be done. So we say that karma kanda also has its tatparya or the purport in ling, Lord, tavya, in revealing that which should be done or which is desirable to do, or which should be ought to be done, which better be done, which is desirable to be done. Okay. This is the subject in which, this is the aspect in which karma kanda has its tatparya. What is this ling? There are different opinions. When this yajeta, jyotishthomena, swarga kamo, yajeta. That yajeta, so that is this ling, Lord or tavya. One of the three are there. So what exactly should perform? One should perform this yaga called jyotishtoma. So that ling artha, what does it exactly reveal? Says, now there are three opinions. One is bhatta. Tatra shabda bhavana vidhiti bhatta. What is this vidhi? Swarga kamo yajeta. This is a vidhi. Vidhi is either ling, Lord or tavya. So ling means vidhi. This vidhi or injunction, what exactly is meant by vidhi? Tatra shabda bhavana vidhiti bhattaha. So, Bhatta school, they think that shabda bhavana. Bhavana is a mental activity in our own mind which is conducive to create conducive to perform a certain activity or create a certain effect. Bhavana nama bhavituhu bhavananukulo bhavayahu vyapar vishesha. So, bhavana means a certain vyapar vishesha, an activity or a thought or thinking that goes on in the mind, which is bhavituhu bhavananukula, which thinking is conducive to creating the effect. For example, swarga kamo yajeta, one who is desirous of swarga should perform jyotishtoma. So, while you are performing jyotishtoma, or for performing jyotishtoma, a certain kind of thinking goes on in your mind that I want to perform jyotishtoma should be performed in this manner, it is something that is desirable, when it is performed, that the result called swarga, etc. arises. All of this kind of thinking that goes on in the mind of the person and which continues to remain throughout the performance of jyotishtoma, and it is only that there is a desirability, that there is a preparedness in your part to do that, and therefore you set your mind in such a thinking pattern that that particular action comes out from you. So when can you do anything? When there is a thought, a thinking which is conducive to performance of an action. For performance of any action, a corresponding bhavana is required. For talking right now, for example, a certain thinking is required in my mind which is conducive to bring about these words. Or for you also to listen to these words, a certain bhavana or a certain thinking is required, certain trend of the mind is required in order that you lend your ears and mind to this thinking, listening. Otherwise you may not. So idea is for performance of any karma, you require a certain thinking pattern of the mind which is conducive to bringing about that action. For driving the car also you must do certain things. But before doing that, the thoughts pertaining to that must occur in your mind. That's what will make you go to this place and do this and whatever it is. So this is what they call bhavana. Says vidhi means this bhavana. That swarga kamo yajeta, when this enjoyment is there, it creates in the person a bhavana, an anukula vyapara, a mental activity which is conducive to performance of that yaga and bringing about an appropriate result of that yaga. This is what the Bhatta says. Niyogo vidhiti prabhakaraha. Niyoga means apurva. They say, Prabhakara say that when you perform a yaga, an apurva or a dushta is created, an unseen result is created which actually in course of time gives you the actual result. So you perform the yaga now, and the result comes at a future time and place. How can the yaga that has already been concluded or already ceased to exist, that yaga, how can it give result in future time and place? Therefore we have to accept that there is some factor, residual factor that remains, or a new factor is created which persists until the result comes at a future time and place. That factor is called apurva, which was not there so far, has been created as a result of performance of this yaga. That apurva is a subtle effect which ultimately results into the actual result at a given time and place. This is called apurva, and the Prabhakaras say that Vidhi means apurva. What the Vedantins? Ishta sadhanata vidihiti. Tarkikadaya sarve and Vedantinastu. So Tarkikad and Vedantins, what do they say? Ishta sadhanata. Vidhi actually only gives you knowledge of Ishta sadhanata, that a given thing is desirable, or a given yaga or given thing has desirability in it or undesirability in it. This is the knowledge that Vidhi or Nisheda gives. And Vidhi does not mean apurva, Vidhi does not even mean the bhavana, Vidhi just means knowledge. As a result of knowledge, you may entertain, if you wish to, a certain thinking which will result into performance of yaga, and as a result of performance of yaga, that apurva will be created. That's okay. But there is no need that it has to be created. If you don't perform the yaga properly, apurva may not be created. And even after listening to the statement also, if it does not inspire you to go to heavens, etc., or go, then even that bhavana also will not be created. But definitely, when you listen to the statement, Jyotishtomena Swarga Kama Yajeta, then definitely a knowledge is created in our mind that Jyotishtoma is something that is desirable. Not necessarily for me, but the desirability which is there in Jyotishtoma is that which is revealed by the Vidhi. This is what the Tarkikas and Vedantins say. So that Ishta Sadhanata is already there.